Hey, you like cars? Now, I know you're looking, and you're like, CarQuicks, where are you at again? This is like the traveling podcast, right? Because I'm back traveling again for work. I'm in a hotel room, so I'm shooting another podcast in a hotel room. This is just part of the journey, and I keep it consistent. So, CarQuicks podcast, episode 51. I don't got the clapper, but we continue. We drive on, and we're driving in this time. But how y'all doing? You doing well? The family, people, kids, I always like to check in with anybody listening that you're doing well, you're doing good. This is a late one. It's real late at night that I'm shooting this, but I figured I have to get this out because I had something I want to talk about when it comes to it. So let's just go. So, okay, this is funny. Sad funny, because on the other end of what I'm going to be laughing about, I'm sure there's something where people lose a job and there are employees and people that lose their income. So I'm not laughing at that aspect of it. But Fisker is back in the news. Now, they showed the Fisker SUV, the electric SUV, the Ocean, and a few other ones. And I was one of the few people that was like, listen, Fisker doesn't have some resounding history of making cars that have made it anywhere. I mean, the only Fisker, like the Karma, everybody knows about the original hybrid, then they made an EV one, and everybody's like, oh, something different, something cool, is designed so well. I never thought they looked actually that good. But I mean, design is subjective, right? Everybody has their own opinion. But they're back again because they're back in bankruptcy. I don't even know really what I want to know. I want to know how people are able to start these companies, go out of business, lose millions, start up another one, lose millions, and still get people to buy their product. Like, I know if that's how it's going down, I need to make a car. CarQuicks sedans. I mean, something. If we can do this multiple times, then I need to be signing up because this is crazy. So Fisker is no longer on the New York Stock Exchange. That is like the nail in one of the nails in the coffin for you basically on your way to bankruptcy. Like, there's really no turning around. You can't even get yourself traded anymore. It's looking bad. But on top of the issues that Fisker has been having recently, when they talked about this bankruptcy that's pretty much almost everybody saying it's going to happen unless they find out some massive amount of funding. But given the fact that we are on round 2 of going out of business for a car company, I'm not putting it past Fisker to find some way or somehow to get new fundings. It may happen. But here's one of the audits that they did internally. They found out that they had lost like millions of dollars that were unaccounted for because their accounting department couldn't even keep track of the money they received. They lost receipts, credit card receipts, wire, numbers in the money that they had coming in. Money, checks weren't cashed, checks were lost. The most egregious thing I heard was that they delivered Fisker vehicles without ever receiving a payment beforehand or afterhand. Folks got free Fiskers. I should have bought one. If I knew that they were delivering cars without ever seeing any money being exchanged, I should have just bought an Ocean. I would have had a free one, given how they're operating. So Fisker is now, they've cleaned up the accounting from what I've read. That now they've kind of shored up the books, however those books look. I mean, if things is brittle, pages torn out, those books are not quick books, slow books, because that's a mess. To lose millions of dollars, the Fisker Ocean is on a hold for the car having, or the SUV having, multiple manufacturing issues. I literally saw a Fisker Ocean literally the other day. When I was going home, somebody drove by on one. I was just like, given where this company is in the news, there's no way you have confidence in your car. Because let's just say they go out of business. They're like, yo, we're done, but we're still going to support the cars you already have out there. You got 3 years tops. 3 years tops before whatever parts you need. O'Reilly's ain't got it. Okay? O'Reilly, no. They don't got it. AutoZone, you're not in the zone. Okay? Don't even go there. There's nobody that has parts for you. So if something goes wrong with your car, you're out in the ocean. No pun intended, okay? But you're out on your own, okay? You don't have anything that's going to help you. So Fisker has that going on, which is, like I said, shenanigans, honestly. This man has made 2 car companies that went bankrupt and still gets people to buy the car. I mean, that's what design does. If it looks good enough, especially with electric cars is such a new arena, and so many people are trying to be the first to adopt something new and exciting or something different, that you can really get off some really ridiculous business practices, as you can see, and still almost look like you're successful. It's crazy. Now, speaking of other cars, Toyota's back at it again. I've told you before, Toyota is master Jedi of the teasers, okay? And they did it again. They're showing off the 2025 4Runner. They showed the lower half of the trunk. I mean, that's it. I got nothing else to report, okay? Toyota, you know how they get down. They show a cup holder, a steering wheel, half a trunk, a tail light, and come next week, they're going to probably show the tire, and eventually we'll get the whole car. But given how the Tacoma looks, if you look at the 2025, the 2024 Tacoma, that front end, adopt that look to the 4Runner. Similar how the 4Runner now looks like the Tacoma, I'm willing to bet that the design language isn't going to stray too far from the Sequoia and the Tacoma and the Tundra. Like, there's a reason why people like those cars. To the design language and lineage amongst those models, they're going to stay the same. So Toyota's out there teasing again. Now Kia's been on a run. Like I've said it before, I'm repeating myself, but Kia showed off another pretty exciting car within the small, compact sedan hatchback world, and this goes after Corolla and Civic. And Honda and Toyota better start paying attention, because the stuff that they're packing into these cars, like, first of all, it's called the 2025 K4. It replaces the Kia Forte, a substantial jump in performance, power. I mean, it looks incredibly good. Much better than anything that's going on, especially from like Toyota and Honda play it safe. Let me not take it away from them. They play it safe because they have legacy and history that is behind the Corolla and the Civic, so they can't just go out there and just blaze a trail on a design that's like truly left field, because they'll lose too much money. So Kia has the K4. The K4 is, I mean, you see it on the screen. It's like a hatchback, kind of, fastback design they have on it. They haven't talked about a GT model, but it comes pretty stacked with a lot of standard, technology, which is what Kia and Hyundai do. Because, see, they know they're battling against those legacy car companies, the ones that have the long history, the long relationship with people. So they got to throw in a lot of the accoutrements that you would have to pay for outside of the other manufacturers already standard. One of the standard things they're doing is that there's automated driving assist are standard. There's optional 30-inch displays on the front. Again, you already know. It's big screen time on the dashboards on all cars. They have 360-degree views. There's wireless CarPlay, Android Auto. That's pretty standard across every single car. And they have an AI assistant. Now, if you listen to my last podcast, then you know what I'm about to say, okay? These AI systems are selling your information, okay? Point blank. Deny it if you will. Enjoy it if you will, too. I mean, like, as I always say, do as you wish and do as you may. You may want to have the AI assistant tell you how the traffic is, what your latest song is that you're playing, where you're headed home, what food available for you in a short amount of time. Does this coffee shop have your latte ready for you at a designated period of time? All those type of things, right? But you already know that Kia is selling your data to somebody. And if they're not selling their data, it isn't even about the company selling it. Sometimes it's about how they keep it safe. Because while they've been making better and better cars, what they have not done is proven that they can actually keep consumer data from being breached. And if you see major companies like Sony having data breaches and things of that nature, I don't trust that Kia has those systems in place when it comes to whatever data is being taken from you to use their little AI assistant. And AI is being thrown out way too much already. And I already knew it was going to happen. We got AI videos, we got AI songs, we got deep fakes. I mean, we're getting to a place in time where folks are not going to know that they're either looking at AI or somebody on the phone is using AI to make it sound like your loved one. That's why people got to have like code words now. I mean, that's just the time we're on. So the AI systems now that are being thrown into cars, a lot of it does have a gimmicky feeling, but the gimmicky feeling on this one also has a double-edged sword on the other end because of the information that they have access to. So while you may have these conveniences, if that system is not backed up by the greatest of cybersecurity people, then we got a situation where if that information gets out, they're going to be issuing out apologies and free oil changes, hoping that that helps quill the fears that your whole information is out there in some other country being sold, which it would be. So powertrains are a naturally aspirated 2-liter 4-cylinder, 147 horsepower, 132 foot-pounds of torque. There's a turbo option, 1.6-liter, 190 horsepower, 195 foot-pounds of torque. Like I said, entry level. Like, don't expect 300 horsepower GT models, even though it does have multi-link rear suspension. So there is a hint of a possibility of a potential high-performing model just because of the suspension geometry. Now, will it happen? It depends. I don't think they're going to be chasing down GR Corollas and Civic Type Rs, but they may, because they have things like, well, Hyundai isn't Kia, but think of it that way. Hyundai has the N version of some of their cars, and they don't really have. They have the GT Stinger, and they had those models, so it's not like they're away from the GT model of cars. They could apply it to that to then kind of spice up whatever's being offered in that industry. Little front-wheel drive, 300 horsepower turbo 4 is going to get people talking, even amongst the main players in that field. But on top of that, see, we're not done yet. Along with the K4 sedan, the 2025 model, which goes on sale the second half of 2024 this year, they showed off the K4 wagon. And you know how we get down on the CarQuicks podcast. We love our wagons. So look at it. I'm on board. Now, I wouldn't buy one, but I'm on board with more wagons being introduced into the atmosphere, okay? The more wagons, the merrier. Now, keeping on with, Kia, Genesis, also, and I'm talking about, some of these Korean brands. Genesis announced their performance line of their cars, right? Hyundai is moving the Genesis brand as far up as it can. Things like the GV60, G60, G80 sedans and SUVs have proven that they're not playing. And so they now added what they call I believe it's called Magma. That's their lineup, which they showed a bunch of cars in this bright orange color. But that's going to take on AMG and M cars, which, considering what they offer on their base cars for the value, this is probably going to be the absolute best value when it comes to luxury performance. They showed off the GV60, some Magma edition, which is a bright orange color. This looks fire. And I would imagine it probably takes something from the Hyundai Ioniq 5N with a 641 horsepower motor. They also showed off a G80 performance sedan. And then there's that wild concept like supercars they've been showing since like last year. Now, all this proves is that Genesis is staying the course of becoming the next best like luxury contender next to like Lexus, Audi, and those companies. They are pushing forward that they are an option in that realm, in that world. Now, another thing that happened, this just proves my point. So General Motors, literally, this is like a day after, depending on when I post this podcast, it'll be a day after, a couple days after. But General Motors came out and I quote, said, OnStar Smart Driver customer data is no longer being shared with LexisNexis or Verisk or some other company. What did I tell y'all? New York Times is the one that reported on this, and it's probably because it came from a reputable company or a publication like New York Times that they realize that they have now been caught and told on when it comes to the information they're selling, that they decided to no longer do it. But they're the only ones. There's plenty of other companies that have not announced anything like this. So that shows you that it takes articles, or it takes people, or it takes podcasts like myself putting light on what's going on, or people or consumers pushing back against it for these changes to happen. Because without it, it's a free-for-all. But the fact that they said this right after that article, it proves the point. Your information is being sold. So you need to move accordingly, because they're proving it. If they're coming out saying it's not being sold anymore, it wasn't even PR sauce thrown on it. Like, we could appreciate everybody that buys our cars. We want to keep consumer data for. They didn't even do none of that. They just said, hey, you got us. We're not selling it no more. And that's just them. So imagine all the other car companies that aren't saying anything, that offer the same connected services and do the same thing. There is something that is happening that either consumers are going to have to stand up and defend their right to their data, or just watch these companies continue this practice. And when something hits the fan, we're all going to come back and be like, how we let this happen? I'll tell you how. Folks ain't saying nothing. Infiniti showed off another entry into the big grill brigade. Big grills on the front of SUVs. Like I said, it's what we do. Now, I'll give Infiniti some grace here. The new QX80 is the best looking QX that they've done. It looks very similar to the original one. It looks very similar to the Nissan Armada. But the front headlight should get special wording on this because of how sleek individual LEDs they look. It looks really good. This is a proper luxury SUV. It comes with a 3.5 liter twin turbo V6. Don't know the power numbers. The puddle lights on the outside of this SUV are what we should talk about, because these things are wings. Like, they flow out on the side of the SUV. And I know Rolls-Royce, Bentley, I know a bunch of companies that saw this and said, we were sleeping at the wheel, because we should have been had that. Very dope option. You get all the luxury features inside. You get the giant screens on the dashboard, as you can see. Like I said, the Best Buy back TV wall. That's what we got on the front end of these cars. It is what it is. There is a copious amount of touch devices or touch buttons with piano black. So listen, invest in microfibers, okay? Because you already know what's going on. When it comes to the fact that all these cars are lacking buttons, and on the back end we're adding buttons, even Hyundai announced that the new Santa Cruz will add more buttons back. It proves that the full touchscreen interface might work well on iPads and iPhones. It doesn't work well if I'm driving and I go to tap something that doesn't respond, and now I got to turn my head to see my finger was in between this touch capacitive button and this one, and not in place it properly. See? That's madness. We don't need to do that. Buttons can still be integrated smoothly, elegantly, and still have good design. It doesn't have to be a flat screen television all over the dashboard. Now, another issue with this, not an issue, but one concern is that the price tag. This thing starts at $84,000 and tops out at $112,000. I just want to know, who are these families that are buying these $90,000 SUVs, and do they adopt it? Okay, because that's crazy. Everything in this, I get it. Luxury, but even then, luxury sometimes, I think they just get these arbitrary numbers, just throw anything on it. 100,000, 200,000, 90, 95. It's like, why stop there? We might just say 500,000, just keep the party going. Now, they do have a cool feature in there called biometric cooling. Cool feature, cooling. You see what don't worry. It senses when the occupant is getting warm and directs cool air to them. I need that in my house. I need biometric cooling as I come into each and every room and it says, hey, CarQuicks is in the room, Cameron has entered, please bring it down, because the rest of his family always is cold, but he's always hot and sweating, so bring it down when he enters the room. I like that. So biometric cooling is the coolest feature I heard them announce on this QX80. Now Mercedes, to wrap this up, keeping it short, like I said, I'm in a hotel room right now and it's late, I'm tired, and I want to go eat my cheesecake I got sitting over there from Cheesecake Factory. I'm being honest. So AMG is trying to sell a 4-cylinder GT model. The big muscular AMG GT, the real deal Holyfield. They have a GT43 option with a 4-cylinder making 415 horsepower, 369 foot-pounds of torque. Has little, and it's not just any normal 4-cylinder. It has the F1 derived turbo system. They're using an electric motor to spool up faster, reduce the turbo lag, instant power, torque, very efficient, very good. But I'm just gonna give my own pushback. No, who's buying this? This is still gonna cost 6 figures or very close. I'm not spending $100,000 for a 4-cylinder turbo AMG GT. You got me all the way messed up. What are we talking about? Look at how this car looks. This is not the 4-cylinder. If you're going to make the baby version, if we're going to bring back the SLK, if we're going to bring that back, it makes sense. If you were going to stuff that motor into an AMG, like other version of the GT, some other coupe that was small, under 60, 50,000, it makes sense. But in this near $100,000 big boy coupe, if it ain't the V8 at bare minimum of V6, we only be talking about it. Because I just don't see where this makes any sense for that demographic. The people that buy AMG GTs, and I know for the price difference, there might be a few people that say, I just want to look good. I'm not no racer. I don't care. I drive in the city all the time. I live downtown. I can't even go nowhere. I just want to look good when I pull up and park. Then obviously that's going to fit the bill. But I mean, nah. AMG, the 4-cylinder in the GT? I mean, I guess. I ain't doing it. I just can't. GR Corolla updates. We do got something exciting happening. So the Downpipe has been shipped to me. It's on its way. Come Monday, it's going to be a Downpipe in there from MST Performance. I am excited. What I'm not excited about is the idea of me trying to shoot a video, which I will, on installing this Downpipe. I've been told from numerous people, from a gentleman, Anthony Doe, shout out to him. He put this on his car. He told me, don't try to do this in your driveway. It's going to be a nightmare. I guess I'm signing up to be in the upside down, because I'm going to be upside down on my back trying to do this. I'll figure out a way. I'm going to do some things. I might hire, ask for a hand with my friend Chris, because you might need a hand, and we're going to do this, and we're going to see the difference. I don't have a full exhaust yet. I do have the mid-pipe plus the downpipe. This is about to sound glorious. With the extra power, a lot of the front mounts from OTL Performance and Jackson Racing and CSF Radiators has released GR Corolla intercoolers. It's about to be high time to do that. I do understand that some of the things that I want to do to the car isn't inherently necessary. But I tell people when that comes up is, we're only here for a short time, not a long time. If you're into modifying cars, I'm into modifying them like it's Forza. I want to throw some parts at it. No, I'm not racing. I don't have to be on the track. I'm just replacing the parts. I want to have fun. This is Legos. This is Tetris. I'm putting things together. So there isn't always a justification to racing or anything of that nature to do these modifications. Some of them are just because that's what I want to do. And almost everybody's like that. We just want to throw parts at it and have fun, build something up. So the downpipe is coming. I'm thinking about other things I want to do, other companies I want to reach out to partner with, to do videos, because they're not really just about getting a free part. I like to just shoot the content and give them something to come back to say, hey, he reached out and he did this, or he showed this to the people. And I enjoy doing it. I enjoy doing this podcast. But what I'm really going to enjoy is that cheesecake I have sitting over there. So I'm wrapping this up. And I'll see y'all next week. This is actually two episodes pretty back to back fairly quickly because I don't have to edit so much in this video. I'm not my normal backdrop. I will be soon. And I'll see y'all around. And like I always say, do as you wish and do as you may. It's Cameron Biggs, your host from another hotel room. This is CarQuicks. I'll see y'all around. Peace.